All right, welcome. Sorry I was out for most of the day and I couldn't do the live stream today. But again, another boring day, just continues to grind higher, putting people to sleep. And, like I said before, if you can't get in, then you have to get in because the market will not stop going up. Now, that sounds great, but in reality, you were coming up against that resistance area that we failed 7 times before, right? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, and the seventh time we did blow through it. The volume area, so we're 70% of all volume, obviously, and you don't need this chart to figure this one out, has been uh, between about 11,762 and 70751 in the NASDAQ. All right. So we've finally broken out in a very thrusty move, a strong move. Okay. Yes, it's grindy, but it's not ugly looking, right? Um, so the bias now is that we're going much higher. Right? We're broken out. This should now, and I hate to use the word support, but um, when you look at the trend line, if it comes back into this trend line, the bias is to the upside. Okay, so we have an inverse head and shoulders. Right, we've talked about that before. Again, this is a 15-minute, but again, it's not about the time frame, 15 minutes, an hour, day. It's the same thing. It's the amount of time that you are analyzing that matters, not how many um, bars there are on a chart. All right, so inverse head and shoulders broke out finally, and we said that if it comes and tests this area, it's going to build some consolidation right in here, which it did. Okay, it's a weird looking, funky kind of rising wedge. Okay, and then boom, straight out. And now we are going into this, you know, thrust up, consolidation, which is a flag, thrust up, consolidation, it's a flag, blah, 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 and so forth. Okay? And that's the way markets move to the upside, and that's the way they move to the downside. Um, so that's where we are at 352. Let's take a look at some of the other markets. I liked the S&P 500 the most. It was the cleanest chart. There was a breakout from this structure. Again, inverse head and shoulders took off, and now this is what I call incredibly bullish. Incredibly bullish. Right? It broke out from this structure that should have resulted to the downside. Now, let's take a look at SPY. Actually, let's do it SPX. And I want to show you something here. Note how these are uh, gap ups, right? Most of the moves, or a lot of the moves, occurred in after hours. All right. Now, you can call them professional gaps. You can call them whatever you want. I don't like those terms because it makes you think that it's they. They got together and they pushed the buttons and they're fooling everybody. That's why I don't like these professional gaps. Whatever you can call it that. Um, but it's just extreme bullishness. That's it. And why is there extreme bullishness? Well, now Trump wants, you know, a big deal, a big deal, a very big deal, right? 2 days ago, stop the talks. Now we want a big deal. You cannot. This is not investing, guys. I'm sorry to tell you. Okay, if we're all sitting here trying to guess what Trump is going to do tomorrow, and then the market is going to behave based on what he says, it's impossible to trade. It's impossible to invest. Forget it. It's not the way it works. Is it behaving like this? Yes, because you have someone who is literally knows that whatever he says will have an effect on the market. Period. All right. And when someone is misusing it, like Trump is, then you're going to get these kind of reactions. And remember, you have algos, right? And the algos are just going to read whatever the news comes out, and then they're going to behave, right? And then they're going to push it up or push it down or whatever the case may be. So again, in 3 days, you had three. professional gaps. Okay. Um, let's take a look at small caps, and I'm going to zoom out on this one. All right, small caps continue to push higher within this uh, F flag, and we're reaching limits, potential resistance area at the top here. We cleared the previous high. Okay, we cleared it before, pulled back when Trump says he doesn't want a deal, and then pushed higher when he did want a deal. So cause and effect. Garbage, 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 garbage. All right. We talked about yesterday how the fangs are supposed to, make a decision one way or another. Do they want to start falling apart from this bear flag, or do they want to continue higher? And obviously, the news pushed the fangs higher. They're up 2.4% for the day. Nasdaq is up 1.2. S&P 500 is up 0.5. Small caps, we talked about, they're flat for the day. Let's continue on here. Just take a look at airlines. Okay. Continue to push higher. All right. Trying to break out of this bear flag, or at least expand the flag. Right. China, kind of flat for the day. Nothing special there. Japan, right at the top of this F flag, right, finding some resistance. Australia, pushing higher, again, within this F flag. Inverse head and shoulders, certainly it did play out. Nifty 50, plowing higher. Okay, that's very interesting that it continues to push higher in a straight shot, mind you. Korea, not pushed higher, but nothing significant. Again, that's coming towards the upper range of this bull flag, right? And why is it a bull flag? Just to cover it again, let me show you here. Ooh, there it is. All right, so waves are counted from the first counter move. Okay, you have 3 waves, 4 points. You identify the structure. It's valid. It has to be valid, and you need this hook to validate it. Okay, and the structure is pointing slightly down to flat. Okay, this is a 1 wave. This is a 2, and then what we should see is a follow through to the upside. All right. Europe continues to push higher. Actually, broke out today. Okay, broke out. When these lines move, broken out, incredibly bullish. Very happy. How about Germany? Germany is up against the resistance of a structure below a structure, going into the point of control, and we should kind of start measuring it from here correctly, right? When it first started to fall apart, and it's above the point of control. All right. UK pushing to the top of the F flag. Now this is interesting because this has been a very long, drawn-out structure. Okay, a channel. And again, if it's pointing in one direction, then you're expecting, the next move to be up, right? So keep that in mind as it, continues to push higher. Let's see how it's going to behave. If we measure this from where it started to break down, again, you find it near that point of control, right? The POC. Taiwan breaking out. Brazil pushing higher. Saudi right at the top of the wedge. Oil flat, about again above 40, right? Pulling back a little bit. Now remember, oil is based on demand, all right? And it's going to be a lot more volatile than the markets. Bitcoin broke out. Now again, I'm going to urge caution here. I don't like wedges. Usually wedges, they move in one direction, break out, get everybody excited, and then do the opposite. So It's good that it's pushing higher, but just be careful. All right. Gold breaking out. There it is, right there. Right. I hate when he does this. I have to right click a little bit. All right. And it's normal. That's what it should do, right? It should break out because if you're going to print more trillions of dollars, right, that's bullish for gold. Um, Silver, I don't talk about because I don't trade it. I don't like it. Aggregate bonds, okay, they're about to start to break out higher. Okay. Um, let's go to commodities. We'll talk about bonds here in a minute. Uh, the the commodity index CRB broken out from this channel again. You can see the validation. First counter trend move down. One, two, ooh, three. Did I double click somewhere? Close your eyes. All right. One, two, three. Valid structure. Three waves. 4 points. Identify the structure. Valid. Broke out. Okay. So it makes a lot of sense that you're going to get a one, a two corrective, and then three higher. And this coincides with a stimulus package. Blah blah blah. Palladium continues to push higher. Copper pushing higher. Base metals higher. Agriculture continues to push higher, and I would even argue that it's past the previous high. Okay, well, slightly yesterday it did, but today it's flirting with it. But you can see that this one is a high base. It's not like the previous one where it just kind of wicked up and came back down, right? It's a high base. That's consolidation. That's building pressure to push higher. That's what you want to see. Okay, that's textbook. Uh, Precious metals higher. Okay. Commodities overall breaking out of this structure, pushing higher. Uh, Sugarcane higher. Right. Corn higher. Wheat a little bit of a pullback, but still higher overall. Steel is coming up against this resistance area. Right. Coming up against this resistance area. Again, we want to see a nice consolidation up here. We don't want to see a nice high base. Right? Build that pressure and then boom, break it out. Um, Soybeans right up against resistance, right? So you guys can read all those reports that you want about orange juice and how Florida and soybeans and trade wars. But in the end of the day, you see it's about money flows, right? It's about money flowing from one asset class to another. That's what pushes commodities up and down, right? Of course, it has to do with demand, but again, commodities are a very small market, and when people don't want to buy negative interest bonds, and they say, "Well, I'd rather go put some cash in commodities, where I can park some of the cash." You shift a little bit of money over, it's going to push prices higher, and then when everybody does it at the same time, all commodities start to rise, and that's what you're seeing. That's what you're seeing. Uh, Dollar. Let's zoom in a little bit on the dollar. Continues to fall apart. Okay? Continues to fall apart. If you're going to print more trillions of dollars, there's going to be a devaluation. You can't print, borrow, and import to infinity. Okay? Eventually, it's going to affect the dollar. I've said that forever and a day. You're seeing it now live. So, this was a bear flag. You can see the 1, 2, 3 up. The structure is pointing to the upside. So what's the next move going to be? Well, naturally, it's going to be to the downside. So that's why this arrow was here. Again, textbook. The dollar is wonderful only because the macro is reflected in price. Okay, this is very good. This is wonderful. This is what you want to see. When the macro and price start to disagree, uh, you're in for a wild ride. Let's just put it that way. Okay. US dollar, Japanese yen, dollar is down, but this is a short time frame. So let me go to an hourly. But nonetheless, it is pushing lower, and it does have this formation now that is coming into question. Not today, but it will next week. All right, it's a rising wedge. It's a rising wedge, and it's identified with three waves, and it's valid. One, two, three. It's a valid bear flag. All right, and again, just to reinforce it for you new guys, it points in one direction, confuses everybody, and then it's going to do the opposite. Boom. All right, but you got to wait for the break. Euro US dollar pushing back up into structure. Now this could have been disastrous because it did break down, right? And to some extent, it still has that bear flag structure below structure thing going for it. But as always the case, if it comes back into structure, you know, that becomes problematic because it did break this downtrend. It didn't follow through from the bear flag. It is getting back into the bigger structure here. All right. So we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. But of course, the dollar is the king. So if the dollar is going lower, then you have to assume that the euro will go higher as the dollar falls. The pound has been a mess. Okay. It dropped structure below structure back into structure. So too many structures in there. So for now, this is what it is. But again, not something I want to trade. Way, way, way too confusing and volatile. I haven't traded the pound in, oh man, when was this? October, a year ago. Okay, so I haven't touched it in a year, nor do I plan to. Turkish lira, right? This is a perfect example that you can't print, borrow, and import to infinity. All right, and that's what Turkey is doing. They're printing, they're borrowing privately, and they're importing. They're net importers. So of course the currency is going to devalue, and you can see now it's up to 7.85, and back in uh, 2008 it was almost 1 to 1 to the dollar. Imagine how much savers have been hurt by that. Russian ruble, okay, it does these kind of moves, right? It does these kind of moves. So, and then it pulls back, and then it pops up, and it pulls back. But the general trend is to the upside. All right. Um, you know, with oil being as weak as it is, and the economy being as bad as it is, the world economy is what I'm talking about. Plus, there are issues with COVID and so forth. I'm surprised it's not much higher, to be honest with you. USD CAD, right? We talked about it yesterday. Look at that. Again, textbook. 1, 2, 3 up, comes down, fails, bye bye. And again, you want to read the message of the market. And that's why I go through all these charts, because does this all kind of fit with the narrative that we are going to print more money? And when you look across all the markets, commodities, forex, stocks, and soon we're going to talk about bonds, right? Everything is confirming what we are saying, right? Well, not what we are saying, what the market is doing, right? That it's breaking out inverse head and shoulders. They believe that there's going to be another deal with a bunch of trillions of dollars coming, and everything is reflecting it. Everything is reflecting. So the macro is agreeing with price. Australian dollar, right? Pushing up, and again, this is going to be a key area. If you zoom out to a daily, right, this has been a very long-term resistance area. Broke out, came back down, but look at the way it behaved after it dropped, right? Not very convincing. It's not doing a very good job in falling apart, right? It's a consolidation that is forming at resistance. This is a high base. It's preparing itself to take off, all right? And again, when you look at their COVID cases versus the U.S. and their economy versus the U.S., They're certainly doing a lot better. Of course, they have their own problems. Okay, there's no question about it. Every country does. But remember, uh, these guys here, uh, two main factors to consider. One, commodities is very important to Australia, and two, they don't run huge deficits. Okay, so keep that in mind. New Zealand, same thing. High base consolidation, long-term downtrend. This looks very bullish to me. Okay, uh, dollar, yuan, it's not doing anything. Forget about them. Let's take a look at the 10-year. All right, it's 0.77. All right, starting interest rates starting to rise, but it's not doing a whole hell of a lot. It's kind of stuck in this little flag right now, right? Right there. So we want to see what's going to happen next. Is it going to break out, or is it going to start to come back down? You know, for right now, there's definitely it's higher, but not significantly higher. What else? Banks pushing higher. This is more of a banking ETF, KBE. Keep that in mind. Um, Broke out from here. All right. So that's doing okay. Biotech pushing to all-time highs. Water all-time highs. This one is wonderful. One of my subscribers, Uche, brought this to my attention. It's wonderful. Look at it. Straight shot. You know, water is the next gold. The real next gold, by the way. Jets, ETF. They're happy. They're getting free money, right? Well, they're loans, Nick. Well, whatever. They're getting money. So that's about to go incredibly bullish for now. You never know what tomorrow's tweet is going to be. Taking a look at the FANGs, Facebook, Amazon is up 3%. Let's take a look at it. All right, up 3%. Apple, all right, flat about 1%, but it's got that inverse head and shoulders as well. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right there. Okay, and here's the neckline, and it is breaking out. Netflix inside this flag, testing it. Okay, Nvidia, my favorite. Eh, eh. This could be saying it's kind of topping out based on the 1 to 3 flat, but too early to tell. Need more info. Google continues to push higher. All right, it's an all-time high, so you're seeing the volume taper off substantially. So when you look at the Google chart in this long channel, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. You know, volume fell off, and Tesla. This thing again, I will say it. It's way overvalued. I think this is the perfect setup for an M pattern, right? One, two, and then we're going to see a three start to fall apart, which would break this trend line. But that doesn't mean you go out and short it, because so long as it remains above this trend line, the bias is to the upside. Okay, it's not until it starts to break and starts making structures below structures and blah 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 that you can start getting bearish. You can sell me all the cute stories you want until you're blue in the face. It's not going to make a difference. It's not going to help you in any way. So, yeah, that's about it for the fangs. Let's take a look at uh, the internals here. Where is it? All right. So for the last 5 days, the market is up overall 3.72%. So we're ending near the end, the high of the week. Again, what is leading? Materials, energy, utilities. All right, and today you had the big spike in information technology, up to 4%. But up till yesterday, this was lagging. This was lagging. But again, it's not the market leader, all right, and it should be. So intraday information technology, big move. Consumer discretionary, healthcare, consumer staples. Okay, looks fine. Energy's at the bottom with real estate and utilities for the day. So that means that money came into the market leaders today. All right. Uh, Twitter. What's going on Twitter? Heavy truck sales. Okay, down 26% year over year. Black Knight. Nothing. GDP forecast. Yeah, they can forecast till they're blue in the face. Doesn't mean anything. COVID positivity rate slightly elevating. It's still flat considered, but it did rise yesterday slightly. U.S. real car roads way, way, way underperforming. And that's about it. Nothing earth-shattering. Right? Everything is about tweets. Everything is about who said, she said, blah, blah, blah. I just got to make a little note here as to my view. Our the Amendment 25th Amendment. Look, I'm a pilot. If I take steroids, I am not allowed to fly. Okay? If I'm caught flying, that's a drug violation. I'm done. Why? Because it's mood altering, right? Um, Now, couple that with the facts, right? People that get COVID, it's been documented that they start getting brain fog, right? So they can't, they're tired, their brain is like a fog. So the decision-making process, just from the steroid, just from the studies that have been done, okay, it's mood altering. The president has to remove himself. It's not up to Pelosi to do it. He should have done it. But if he's not in the right state of mind to do it, then Pelosi has to say something, right? I don't know why he's allowed to continue like this. I mean, this should have been done a long time ago. Now, I'm going to add the last part. Do you know what this experimental drug side effects are? Does anybody know? 75 people on the planet have received it. It's experimental. How do I know that? He hasn't lost his mind. You think the FAA is going to let me be captain on an airplane, taking experimental drugs and steroids, and be like, "Yep, Brett, you're good to go"? They'll put me in jail if they found out that I did such a thing. I Again, I don't know why they didn't do it before, and now people are politicizing it again. But anyway, that's my cute story for the day. I don't understand, but it should have been done. So that's it for the day. Going into the weekend, we're going to see how this is all going to work out next week. The bias is to the upside. It was up to the upside before we talked about it, right, yesterday. It continues up in after hours. Look at that, right? And that's the problem, man. You get a lot of these moves that occur in after hours. Um, so what ends up happening? Market opens, everybody's chasing it, right? Uh, it's again tweets, this, that. This is not a normal market. This is not. I've been doing this a long time. China news. Remember China trade deals? Yeah, we're gonna have a deal tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow for months. Cutler would come out. Yeah, don't worry about it. Everything's fine. We're on track. Everything is great. What happened to it? What happened to it? Right. This is not trading. This is not investing. It has nothing to do with reality. Right. So um, keep that in mind. This is definitely special. All right, guys. Thank you very much. I'll probably see you on Monday. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.